also without popping a stitch. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This feels so strange to me. Where we left off like a month ago, I was trying to film and put up like 3 videos a week, and then all of a sudden nothing. And I apologize, because as somebody who follows a lot of YouTubers that I really enjoy the content of, I know how frustrating that is when there is no content to consume. But if you guys have been around for any amount of time, you know that from time to time that happens around here. It just gets really, really busy. I have 2 toddlers. I work a full-time job, just like a lot of you guys, like raising babies, adulting, like life, it gets hard, and sometimes YouTube just has to take like the back seat. But this time even was a little bit different than my normal, just like, hey, life's been chaotic, you know, spiel. And so today I'm spilling all my tea and I'm filling you in on everything that's been going on with me and us, our household. If you follow me over on Instagram, @LorienToll is my handle, you probably know pretty much everything that's happened. But for those of you who don't, I know not all of you do, not all of you have the socials or care to follow me on the socials. If you do care to follow me, I'll put it down below just so that you know. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, like perhaps the biggest thing that's been going on with me and our family is that I just recently had surgery on my spine, on my lower spine. And I'm sitting here pretty upright talking about it, which makes me really, really happy, because I'm kind of on the other side and I'm healing now and I feel so much better. But to backtrack, this was not something that we expected. I've been dealing with back pain on and off, I would say, for, if I'm being real with myself, probably the last 2 years. It started right after we moved into this house. So when Mike and I were moving, we were adopting a baby, there was a lot of expenses. We were trying to save money wherever we could, and we decided to like be our own movers. Probably shouldn't have been moving really, really heavy credenzas along with my husband, but I was. And I'm also very much an impatient, like I could do it myself person, like, and so I'm sure I probably moved things that I shouldn't have moved by myself. And right after Ariella was born, I remember there was like a morning, she was only a couple weeks old, and we had just moved something that weekend into the garage, and all of a sudden I woke up and Mike was gone. He was at work and I couldn't get Ariella out of her crib and I couldn't get Josiah out of his crib. And I remember calling my mom crying, like, I don't know what to do. Like, I can't even take care of my kids. I'm in so much pain. But I turned around pretty quickly after that. And then it would keep happening periodically throughout the next 2 years. But it would be like a couple days, and then it would get a little longer. It'd be like a week, and then it was 2 weeks. Then I introduced seeing a chiropractor, and that helped a little bit. And then it happened to me again mid-July. We had a family party that we were going to, and Josiah wasn't feeling particularly well that day, but it was just like he had like a minor cold or allergies or something that was like flaring his asthma up. And so he like just needed his nebulizer a lot, and then we were around people he didn't know, so he was like really attached to me and wanted to be carried the whole time. And so I was carrying him around, and that probably wasn't the best for my back. And the next morning I remember waking up in just immense pain in my back, and I just was like, I just need to rest, I just need to rest. And so Mike was like, all right, well, I'll do more around the house, you just kind of lay down and just chill. And that's what we tried. But after like a week of that, it wasn't getting better. I went to the chiropractor twice, it wasn't getting better. And I remember sitting down with Mike one day and I said to him, as much pain as I'm in right now, I'm actually really grateful that this time it's not sciatic pain too. Because the last time this happened to me, the swelling in my back, what I thought was a muscle, was pinching my sciatic nerve. And I was getting this shooting pain down my right leg along with just numbness. That lasted a month. The numbness, the tingling, all the way in my whole right leg down to my toes lasted an entire month the last time I hurt my back. And of course, like a normal person would go to doctors, but just to be super transparent, I kind of have a little bit of I don't want to call it a phobia because that sounds really intense, but I don't love going to doctors. I don't love doctors in general. And so I try to avoid it at all costs. and you'll see where that gets me a lot of the times. But anyway, yeah, so this time I said that to Mike. I said, at least it's not sciatic pain, like this back pain, like it'll go away eventually, like just slap another icy hot patch on me, I'll be good. And then the next night I was laying in bed and all of a sudden I felt the shooting pain in my leg, and I was just like, no, I've already been dealing with like 6 days of back pain. Now it's moving to sciatic pain and back pain, and this is going to be awful. If you've never had sciatic nerve pain before, just thank God for that in your prayers later tonight, because it is one of the most painful and uncomfortable things. There's no getting comfortable. Like you're consistently uncomfortable. There's no way. You can't sleep. It like gets worse at night. It's the craziest thing. And it was so bad this time that I couldn't walk. So after like the first like day or two, like it was mild and then it got worse, I had to sleep on the playroom couch. And by sleep, I meant I slept for 20-minute like increments with my lower half. I would sleep on my stomach with my lower half literally standing on the ground, like my legs would be on the ground, I'd be on the corner of the couch, and like my upper body would be supported. And that's how I would have to sleep, in 20-minute increments, because then it would get uncomfortable and I'd wake up and I'd have to like switch to the other side. I couldn't sit up straight. I had to be leaning like this on one side or the other, and I couldn't walk. Like if I went from the playroom to the front door, which by the way is probably only like, I don't know, 11 feet. It's not a very far walk at all. I would have to lay on the floor for 20 minutes in agony to recover, just to make the walk back, where I'd then have to lay again for another 20 minutes in agony. It was so bad. By the way, I did go to the ER at one point on Monday night when I was on like day 2 of sciatic pain, and I was laying in bed rolling around crying, and Mike was like, nope, not doing this with you again, we're going to the ER. And I have to say, this ER visit is part of the reason that I have the issues that I have with healthcare and seeing doctors. They were the most unhelpful, just like, I don't know what's wrong with me. If I knew what was wrong with me, I wouldn't be here. I'd be like fixing it myself. Like they were like, oh, and I you know, as soon as I said like I've had this before, they did an x-ray, they told me it was muscular, but I don't know, it keeps happening. They weren't like, well, we want to give you an MRI or whatever. They wouldn't even give me real pain medicine. They gave me Tylenol. They gave me Tylenol and like 2 muscle relaxers, and they were like, we'll see how you feel in an hour. And in an hour they came back and the doctor was like, oh, well, you look more comfortable. And I was like, well, I'm slightly more comfortable, but I'm still, you haven't been here for an hour. I've changed positions 20 times in the last hour because it hurts to sit one way longer than a few minutes. Like, I am uncomfortable. And I said, my pain is like, I wouldn't even say it's cut in half at this point. And he was like, well, I'm not going to be able to make it all go away. So here's a script for naproxen, which is essentially like Aleve, and muscle relaxers. And they like sent me on my way. And as a matter of fact, when I walked into the hospital, I was like leaning on Mike, and I walked all the way from the waiting room to the room that they put me in, which was pretty far in the back. And then on the walk out, I was in so much worse shape than I was when I went in, that I actually had to stop and sit in chairs that they had in the hallway 2 separate times because I couldn't make the full walk back. So I left the emergency room in worse shape than I went. And that's part of the reason I don't like healthcare and seeing doctors, because you can get a doctor who genuinely cares about your health and fixing you, and you can also get a doctor who's just like, I don't want to be here, I want to go home right now. And I get it, like, it's their job. Sometimes I don't want to be at my job either. But when your job is people's like well-being and their health, it's a little bit more serious than like, you know, my Excel spreadsheet. So we also don't get paid the same. I digress. So anyway, a couple days later, my mom was like, no, enough of this. You are going to an orthopedic doctor. She used to work for orthopedic doctors. Obviously now she works for my children. And she called in a favor for a doctor who does backs but had retired. And he gave her the name of somebody who might be able to help me. And they were able to get me in the next day. Got to the doctor eventually, and they took a quick x-ray, and from that x-ray he was like, you have a herniated disc. Can't tell how bad it is until we do an MRI. You can't walk, so I want you to go to the hospital. I'm going to have you admitted into the hospital. I'm calling ahead. And he was like, you can go home if you want, pack a bag, you know, you might be there for a couple of days. I don't know if you're gonna need surgery or not yet, but we're gonna prep you and do all the things that we would have to do before surgery just in case. So if that is the outcome, we're ready to go on Monday. This is now a Thursday that this is happening. So we go home, we pack a little bag with some clothes, my computer, like whatever. And we go to the hospital, and I'm in the ER for a little bit, but they know that they're getting my room ready to bring me up. I'm waiting for the, you know, the MRI and everything. And then they finally bring me up for the MRI probably at like almost 9 o'clock at night. And they won't let Mike stay, so he has to leave when I go up for the MRI because there's visiting hours now that I'm going to be admitted. And I was so scared because I've never stayed in the hospital overnight before. I've literally only ever been to the ER that one other time that I hurt my back. So I was a little bit nervous. I'm also claustrophobic, so the MRI thing totally scared me, but they had given me medication before that, which I think just kind of mellowed me out, and I just kind of like laid there, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I just thought about being anywhere other than in this tiny little coffin shaped machine. Like an hour after the MRI, I'm getting settled in my room, and a doctor comes in, not my orthopedic doctor, but one of the orthopedic doctors at the hospital comes in, and he gives me like a quick synopsis of my MRI results, and he's like, your doctor will come in the morning and go over it with you, but basically you're going into surgery tomorrow. And I was like, they told me I wouldn't go into surgery until Monday. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, it's that bad? And he goes, I don't want to speak to it because I'm not your doctor. He's like, but it's not good. And so that kind of scared the crap out of me. And at that point I had told Mike like he could go to work the next day, because I was like, oh, you know, I'm just gonna be waiting here, like laying around on pain meds. You don't have to come and see me. Like, I'm not gonna have surgery until Monday if I need it. So just like, don't even bother. And then I was desperately trying to call him, and he was asleep at that point, to tell him like, hey, I'm going to surgery tomorrow. Like, you have to come here. Like, I've never been under anesthesia before. I've never had a surgery. Like, I was scared. So I was like sending him just like a billion texts hoping that he would see it in the morning, and he did, thank God. Now at this point I haven't seen my kids in a week. My kids are with their grandparents. They were even separated. Josiah was with Mike's parents and Ariella was with my mom. I was crying every day. I'll get into that. But like, I missed my kids. I was scared. I didn't know what was gonna happen. Like, I don't know, like when you're talking about surgeries, I mean, I think any surgery is scary, but like, we're talking about my spine. Like, when people get spinal injuries, sometimes they're literally paralyzed. So I had that fear, even though all of the nurses that were coming in were like, this is super common. You know, a few of the older nurses were like, I had this done when I was in my 40s. I did this, you know, after years of carrying around babies and all this stuff, like, this happens. You're gonna be okay. And so like, that was comforting. So anyway, fast forward to the next day, I have surgery at 5 p.m. They told me the surgery is only gonna take 2 hours, and it ends up taking a little over 3. And Mike is waiting back in the room for me, wondering what happened, because he's like, they said it was only gonna be 2. What's taking so long? And it turns out that like, when they got into my back to work on the herniated disc that I had, it was even worse than it appeared on the MRI. Nerves and all kinds of things running through there, so it can mess with your nerves, which is what was happening. It was crushing my sciatic nerve. But after all was said and done, the surgery went really well. The pain I was in post-surgery was nothing compared to the pain that I was in beforehand. I was like, it just kind of feels like somebody cut into my back. Like, that hurts, obviously. But it doesn't hurt like you'll never stand up straight again and your body is like just a crumpled piece of paper that'll never be straight again, is how I felt before. And I was just in so much pain that I was like, the post-surgery pain is nothing in comparison to how I felt before. Morning, I wake up and I feel great. It's after a full day of kind of like moving around or like sitting up straight at my desk working that I start to feel my back being like, hey, we had surgery, we're tired, can we lay down? And like, then I'll come up to my bed. So tomorrow actually marks officially being 2 weeks out from surgery. I actually have my post surgery like follow-up appointment today with my doctor. And I'm in a really good place. I'm walking unassisted. I don't have my walker anymore. I don't have the cane. sometimes, again, like late in the day, I feel like I could use the support of like leaning on a cane, but I've really been challenging myself to kind of just push through and then lay down and take the break that I need rather than like walking assisted. We have a family trip coming up at the end of August for Ariela's birthday, and I asked the doctor, I'm like, am I gonna be okay to go on that? Like, I want to be good, I want to be with my kids, I want to be happy and comfortable, and he was like, you're gonna feel better than you've ever felt for that trip. So that was really reassuring. And I am on the road to recovery. I feel like I'm almost there. My foot is still numb. I still can't feel my right foot, but they said that that's normal and that I'll last for a little bit after surgery because that nerve was just like really, really being crushed. So I can't wait till I can feel my toes again and my foot doesn't feel dead, because my foot feels dead. It's like always cold and it feels dead. I know that's like a weird way to describe your own foot. So that's really been the biggest update for me. It's just that like health-wise, I was down. Because of this whole saga, I missed a trip that I was really, really, really looking forward to. It was a work trip. We do them once a year. We hold this annual conference. And it was going to be in San Diego this year. And I was so excited. I've never been out to the West Coast before. And even though this was like a trip with like coworkers and stuff, I really enjoy a lot of the people that I work with. Last year we went to St. Louis and we had so much fun. So much fun. It barely feels like you're working. It's just such a great week, honestly, and I missed it. So that obviously wasn't the most fun. Also, me not having my kids for like 2 weeks was, gosh, it was so hard. It's so funny when you're a parent and you're doing it every day. You're like, I could use a break. I could use a week-long break. I could use some time away from the kids. All of these things. And I had so much mom guilt, primary parent guilt, whatever, shame in the fact that I was not well enough to take care of my own kids even for that brief period of time. That's something that I feel like a lot of people maybe don't talk about as much when they're going through a health thing, is how when you're limited and you can't do the things that you normally do for your family, you feel so much less than yourself. Like, I was miserable. Like, I cried all the time because I missed them. I was just like, if Mike even said Josiah or Ariella, I would burst out in tears. And I would be like, I miss them so much. But it was even more than missing them. It was, I felt shame that like, I am their mother. I am supposed to take care of them. This isn't me leaving them with their grandparents to, you know, take a little vacation and have a little mom breather. Like, this was, I'm in such bad shape that I can't even take care of my kids. And like, I already was in a place before this happened where I was like, I want to get healthier for my kids, to be around for my kids. I started, before this all happened, I started walking 3 miles a day. I was riding my little stationary bike during my lunch breaks at work. I was doing like 30-minute at-home workouts in the morning. Like, I was starting to move my body more and it was feeling so good. And then this happened and put a halt to all of that. But I just felt like such trash because I couldn't take care of my kids and my kids had to be elsewhere. My mom came over with the kids so the kids could visit, but I was literally in bed, and like, they wanted to visit with me in bed, but they didn't want to stay up here all day. So they'd come up for a couple minutes and then they'd go downstairs and play or eat or whatever, and then they'd come up, and so I didn't see them all day. And I was also on pain meds, so I was like in and out of sleep and stuff like that. But when they saw me, they were just like, hey mom, what's up? Like, especially Ariella. Like, Josiah was a little bit more like, mommy, like, and Ariella was just like, what's up, girl, how you doing? How you feel? She doesn't care. Ariella is, we call her Miss Independent. She like lives her own life. She does her own thing. I love it about her and I hate it at the very same time. Now that I'm a little bit more capable, I'm trying to do more. Obviously, I still can't lift the kids and I feel terrible because Josiah asks to be picked up all the time. He'll go, mommy, is your back better? And I'll go, it feels a lot better. It's feeling better. And he'll go, you can pick me up now? And I'm like, no. And the sad thing is like, I probably never will be able to pick him up again. And I don't like saying that out loud. I don't even like thinking about that. I mean, I can still obviously like pick him up and put him on my lap and hold him, and I do that. He'll climb into my lap and sit with me and hug me, and I love that. But the idea of like, I don't know, a lot of the times, obviously there's going to be a very last time you pick up your child, right? But a lot of the times you don't know that that's going to be the last time you're ever going to pick up your kid. Like, you do it and you don't realize that that's like, wow, I haven't picked him up since that day we were down by the lake. Like, it just doesn't occur to you. And in this situation, I'm very much aware of the fact that pre-surgery that day that I really, really hurt myself because I was carrying him when he was sick was probably the last day I'll ever pick up my baby and carry him around, because he's just too big now. And that sucks. It really does. I am so happy to be able to be doing things like changing them. Like, it seems so simple, and I can't pick them up and put them on their changing table, so I go in everybody's rooms in the morning and I grab their underwear and their diapers and, you know, their clothes for the day, and I bring it all back into my room and I go, all right, everybody on mommy's bed, and everybody climbs in bed, and I one by one sit and I get everybody ready, and that's kind of been our new routine. And I'm just happy to be able to even do that, because I just couldn't do anything for the longest time. I still can't give them baths because I can't lift them in and out of the tub yet. So Mike has to do all of that, and I don't want this video to be like endlessly long, but I feel like it's going to be anyway, because I just haven't sat down and talked to you all in so long. Other updates, we are in the process of renovating our kitchen. It hasn't started yet. Demo starts later in the month. Like I said earlier, we have a vacation planned for Ariela's birthday, so they're gonna start reno while we're away, so we don't have to deal with all of that. And then we're getting a whole new kitchen. We're doing new floors, counters, cabinets, light fixtures being added, like all of the things. Getting a farmhouse sink. I'm mostly just excited for like functional kitchen cabinets. You have no idea. Our kitchen cabinets are so bad. I have so little space for like food in our kitchen, which is like, that's what you put in a kitchen. There's just like so little space. In our cutout in our dining room, we're putting cabinets, we're putting a little wine fridge in there. And I know we kind of talked about it in a vlog a couple months back. We had somebody come and I kind of showed you the plan. We're gonna keep the same layout that we currently have in the kitchen. We're not changing it. We were, and then I kind of thought about it more and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like that long term. So not the cheapest project, but we got the price down. The funny thing is like the initial quote is shocking because nobody tells you how much anything is. They're just like, well, what do you want? And you're like, well, I want this and I want this and I want this. And you don't know how much those features are. And once everybody lays it all out for you, they're like, okay, well, it's gonna be $50,000. And you're like, but when people tell you like, oh yeah, well, you wanted a pot filler above the stove and that's XYZ, you're like, yeah, I don't $2,000 want a pot filler. Like, I don't actually know if that's how much they cost. I'm just saying, like, there are certain things that you are going to change your mind on just based on the fact of how much they cost. And so anyway, we got to do that. We got to do kind of a revision and give like our must-haves and the things that are kind of the most important to us and go from there. And we were able to get it down to a quote that we were comfortable with. But of course then once you do that, it kind of like triggers you to do, like, I was like, well, we can't have our crusty like dirty dining room chairs that have Josiah's footprints on them in right next to our brand new kitchen. So it's like, now we have to get new dining room chairs, and our couch is broken, so we're getting a new couch. So then it kind of like sparked us to want to do some wallpaper in the living room. So that whole floor is getting a little bit of a makeover, which is really exciting. But my whole downstairs looks like an IKEA warehouse right now because there's just boxes everywhere. The boxes of the cabinets, the boxes from the appliances, tile floors, just everything is everywhere. And I will be very happy when it's all done and I have my house back, because it's like so hard to maneuver around all of these boxes. But it's really exciting, and I guess I'll kind of share some of the process like as we go. And that is everything that is going on in our world, or that has been going on in our world. I would like to say that videos are going to go back to having some kind of regular consistency, but I'm not 100% sure. I have some ideas for things that I want to do, but obviously it's going to depend on time and how able I am to do things. There are still quite a lot of things going on. I have to pack for vacation. I have to pack the kitchen up. I have to kind of do a lot of things around here. So there is a lot going on, but hopefully I will see you guys very soon. It won't be another month before I put up a video. I can guarantee you that. It just might not be 2 a week the way I usually try to do. So, but anyway, I hope you guys are all well. I hope you're all feeling great, living better, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.